I spoke to a dear friend of mine this morning on the telephone. I had heard that she'd lost her beautiful son to cancer. And I really hesitated about calling her. What am I going to say to a woman who loses a child? My goodness, I can't imagine anything being worse. But I suppose there are things that are being worse in this world. After all, life and death, and we all die, let's face it, Here I am at 95 and I still feel immortal. Well, maybe I am. I don't really know. I don't pretend to know the end. Let's face it. I asked her how she was doing, and she said, her answer was very peculiar. She said, there's like two of me. One of me is grieving very, very deeply. And the other one, I feel almost guilty because I'm not grieving enough. I don't feel bad enough. And it's like another part of me, another person. Well, I think that's natural. I really do. The wizard thinks that's natural. That our view of life and death is really peculiar because we don't know. We really don't know who we are. I mean, who we are is that immortal being. Who we are is that God consciousness, if you will. Who we are, it's an experiment, if you will, of consciousness and experiences here on earth. I mean, what happens after that? Oh, there's a lot of good ideas about that. I personally believe in reincarnation, that this life doesn't make sense unless that consciousness is immortal, and that we really live many, many lives. Two lives, that's what we have. One of our lives is that Wizard of Iz, and the other life, well, that's the suffering that all of us are used to or experience. But how to get rid of that suffering so that the suffering it does not take over? A life of suffering. Well, the wizard says to me, a life of suffering is not a life at all. You're dying when you're suffering. Living is not suffering. Living is happiness. Living is happiness. And what is living? You're living when you're conscious. You're conscious of yourself, your body, the events that are happening. I look out my window now. My goodness, there's so much going on. There is so much energy out there. And that same energy is flowing through me. I am part of this. And this is an incredibly wonderful feeling, to be conscious of our consciousness, to be conscious of our consciousness. And this is the widow's advice. Be conscious of your consciousness. That's who you are.